disaster has struck. This is a tragedy. We have some bad news for today. Yesterday, a couple of days ago even, Blizzard came up with this bit of news about, confirming the upgrade system improvements for Dragonflight in Season 3. We had a pretty good comprehensive video about all of the changes coming to the upgrade system in 10.2. I even gave you some child-proof, easy to understand little pictures and images and TLDRs to make it as clear as possible, and the majority of the changes were positive. Blizzard goes through many of these things, like for example increasing the length of the hero and mythic tracks, meaning that now you're gonna be able to upgrade your raid gear, for example, and even the Mythic Plus Vault gear to even higher levels, which makes, as we pointed out, gearing up from actual content stronger than AFKing in town and just getting yourself a full set of crafted gear. A few other changes, as PvP doesn't matter, a few other changes to the inventory space. Of course, the crests now going directly in your currency tab, the crest cap update that went from 10 to 6, as we pointed out. The majority of these changes were positive. They were, yes, slowing down our upgrade speed. Instead of maxing ourselves in 445-ish item level gear in about 3 weeks, it would have taken us a little bit more, but we did have multiple other quality of life improvements. We had the Catalyst coming out in week 1. We had being able to upgrade lower level crests to higher level crests. We had the Mythic track being up 1 tier of item level, and a series of pretty good overall changes. However, there is one thing Blizzard snuck in which slipped past many people's attention when it comes to the trade-ups. TLDR for trade-ups is this bit right here. Right now, in live, you can convert a higher level crest, like an aspect crest, down to a lower level crest, like a worm crest, for free. You just exchange 1 for 1. That's how it works right now in live. Blizzard added the extra in 10.2, where you can now convert a lower level crest into a higher level crest as well. So if you have a bunch of worm quests you don't use anymore, you can take 6 of them and turn them into 1 aspect crest. In the numbers of 10.2, you can take 90 worm crests and translate them into 15 aspect crests, which is the same as right now live saying 6 to 1. This was the extra bit of 10.2, giving you, for example, more incentives to go and do lower level content, to cap on lower level quests, because you know you can upgrade them to quests you might actually need and you might actually want. We did have certain item level breakpoints you needed to reach on all of your gear to be able to benefit from this crest upgrading. You need to be 411 item level right now, using Season 2 item levels. In Season 3 it's 450 to turn whelplings into drakes, and then you need 424 or 463 in Season 3 item level to turn drakes into worms, and then the final one to turn worm into aspect quests you need 437 item level, which in Season 3 will be 476. So once you have all your gear at that item level, you can start to benefit from this crest upgrading. What is the bad bit about this change confirmed by Blizzard as we zoom in for the visually impaired? The bad bit that Blizzard points out is trade-ups will cost 6-to-1 ratio. Once a trade-up is available, players will be able to spend 90 crests to get 15 crests of the higher level. This one we knew, and this one is okay. This will count towards both the cap on the lower level crest being spent and the higher level crest being purchased. This destroys any possible good added feature that this new system is going to give us, because the entire point of being able to upgrade a lower level crest you no longer use into a higher level crest was to bypass the weekly cap. The weekly cap, back to the changes of 10.2, goes to 10 crests per week, which would be 150 crests in Season 3, down to 6 crests per week, which is going to be 90 in Season 3. So with 6 crests per week, you can only have 6 upgrades on your gear per week, as opposed to the 10 you could right now in live. So it would have been quite good to be able to take 90 crests, which is all of the weekly amount of crests you can get, 90 for example worm crests, and turn them into 15 aspect crests, so that you could have 7 upgrades per week instead of 6. That was the whole point as to why this change was going to be good. However, Blizzard just hits us with the fact that even this trade up system will still count towards the cap of your crests, meaning it is now completely irrelevant, meaning that if, for example, you are doing a bunch of Mythic Plus, as it's expected, the patch comes out, Mythic Plus opens, you want higher item level, so you start spamming Mythic Plus. Considering you even have fewer amount of quests you need to cap for the week, you need only 90, which means you will cap the 90 aspect quests in just not even 8 Mythic Plus keys. So basically, if you do your 3 Vault options in Mythic Plus, you have capped your aspect quests. If you just do that, it's completely irrelevant to use this trade-up system, because you will be capped in aspect quests. So you cannot use worm quests to upgrade them into aspect with this change. This is very, very confusing. Blizzard tries to explain this by saying, we are doing this so that players have no incentive to do lower level content for quests. Though, if they're not capped, then they will still be able to get some benefit. This is very, very bad. And not only is this bad, it's really confusing, because if you scroll down to the next point of Blizzard, it's crest fallbacks, which is also something we touched on when we explained the changes of this system, which is this thing right here. If you are capping aspect crests, for example, from doing Mythic plus 20, spamming your plus 20s at the release of the patch, you will be looting worm quests from plus 20s because your aspect quests are capped, so you will still get a parachute, a system to give you still some rewards at the end of a plus 20 if you have capped aspect quests. As Blizzard points out themselves, for example, if a player is 10 crests away from their worm quest cap and completes a plus 12 mythic keystone, they will earn 10 worm crests to reach the cap and then get 2 Drake crests instead of earning nothing as they would have gotten in Dragonflight Season 2. So you do get lower level crests from doing higher level content. And then we scroll up and what we read is, so players have no incentive to do lower level content for quests. But you don't need to do lower level content for quests because you have crest fallbacks available. So there is no situation in which you feel like you would have had to go back and do, for example, world quests because you need Whelpling crests, or open world event because you need Drake crests. If you do need those, then you could have just continued to do the things you do, like for example Mythic Plus or raiding, and receive as rewards quests of a lower level if you have already capped the crest that you would have gotten from that content. So if after spamming all those Mythic Plus keys to cap your aspect quests, then you go into the Mythic Raid, the Mythic Raid won't just give you nothing once you kill a boss, because you have capped aspect quests, so you don't get anything. The Mythic Raid will start giving you worm quests, because you have capped in aspect quests, so you get worms. And if you go through all of Mythic and you cap all of your worm quests, if after the raid you go back doing your Mythic plus 20 spam, instead now you will start getting Drake quests, because you have capped aspect quests and then you have capped worm quests. So now from Mythic plus 20s, which normally give you aspect quests, now instead you get Drake crests. So the entire point explained by Blizzard that we are making the trade up system be limiting by the cap, by the weekly cap, so that players have no incentive to do lower level content for quests is quite pointless, as you have literally just put in the game an entire system dedicated so that players don't feel the need to do lower level content. This is quite sad and disappointing. I remember my early days of full Hopium where I was very happy about this upgrade system because I was saying, wow, this system could really revitalize the open world. Imagine if you give an incentive for players to keep doing world quests, to keep doing open world events, to keep farming Whelpling crests and keep farming Drake crests, because then they can upgrade them to aspect crests. So players still have an incentive to be out in the open world, to be out in open world activities, because it can translate to increasing high level gear. That was my initial, naive, hopium-filled thought as soon as we heard this system. However, the hopes and dreams came crashing down when we read that the trade-ups will have a 6-to-1 ratio. So you're like, oh, okay, so it's not that we can farm that many aspect crests by getting Whelpling crests, because we have to spend our entire weekly cap of Whelpling crests just to get one Drake. But still there is some, at the very least, minor incentive to do it. And then Blizzard comes out and says, nope, no incentive whatsoever to do this, we actually don't want you. I think overall this is a bad change. I think in general it would have been a bad change even if we only knew about this. It becomes an even worse change, an even more difficult change to understand once you read this thing from Blizzard, once they actually give you a way to still get lower level crests from high level content, if you already capped the crests coming from that high level content. So this is the update to the gearing system, which is basically the same as our video that we pointed out a few days ago, with this minor change, the minor change of the trade up still now counting towards your weekly cap. So all of the min-maxing, all of the tinkering, all of the theory crafting about which quests to upgrade and when and how to gain the max possible upgrades, etc., are now going in the trash. They now don't count for anything because the trade-up system won't actually give you one extra gear upgrade per week anymore, since it will count towards the weekly cap. This was today's sad disclaimer about the changes to the gearing and upgrade system of 10.2. Hoping, once more, I'm not one to shy away from heavy consumption of hopium, so we can still wish and hope that by the time the patch is released, Blizzard will go back on this change and allow us to get this juicy, this freebie extra upgrade per week. There's still room to hope for any positive changes. However, as it stands right now, it's quite a bad move overall for the gearing system of 10.2. I will leave you to your own thoughts about this gearing system as we get closer, at this point a couple of weeks away from the release of this patch, as we start our goodbyes. We are starting, of course, by thanking all of the Patreon supporters for the contribution and help to the growth of the channel, which, as usual, can still be given completely for free. You can like and comment down below, as well as subscribe to the channel itself. So, with these unnecessary things out of the way, thank you guys again for watching, see you guys tomorrow, and in the meantime, well, looking at the glass half full, at least I won't have to get a headache trying to min-max which items I have to upgrade and when and how, now that this won't work anymore.